The wind had picked up just after sunrise. Dry leaves danced across the sidewalk, scraping against the curb as the sky turned a pale winter gray. On a wooden bench outside Miller's diner, an old man sat alone. His coat, though clean, was worn thin. The cuffs had frayed from years of wear, and the buttons no longer matched. He pulled it tighter around him and shifted in his seat. The coffee he held between his hands had long gone cold. But he kept holding it, maybe because it gave him something to do, maybe because the warmth had lingered just a little longer than the silence. His name was Walter, 81 years old, a retired welder who had spent his life building things most people never noticed. Bridges, railings, the skeletons of buildings. But now, he sat unnoticed himself. The small town of Fletcher Creek, Ohio, had already begun its Thanksgiving Day routines. Families carrying covered dishes, kids wrapped in scarves too long for their necks, and the distant sound of a high school marching band tuning up for the annual holiday parade. All around him, the world was moving, bustling with laughter, smells of cinnamon and turkey, and the kind of hurried joy that holidays bring. But not for Walter. He watched as a young mother ushered her kids past him, her hand instinctively tightening on her daughter's wrist as they approached. She didn't look at him. Few did. And those who did only offered the tight, polite smile people reserve for someone they feel sorry for but don't want to talk to. Have you ever felt invisible in a world that just kept walking past you? And for a moment, the world was completely still. He had once had a family, a wife named Marlene who used to hum while she basted the turkey and made her cranberry sauce from scratch. A son, Thomas, who moved to Chicago and stopped calling sometime after his second child was born. Walter hadn't seen him in 6 Thanksgivings. No invitations came, no calls, just a quiet house and the old photo album he carried with him in a brown paper bag. Marlene had passed away 9 years ago, pancreatic cancer. Quick, quiet, dignified, the nurse had said. Walter still remembered how cold her hand felt that last morning. He'd never really warmed up again after that. This morning, he'd woken up at 5:30 a.m., just like he used to when he worked the mill, out of habit, not necessity. He'd dressed slowly, laid out his one nice shirt, and combed his white hair carefully. Maybe, just maybe, he'd see someone he knew at the diner, or someone who might remember him. But no one had, not even the waitress. He'd ordered a small coffee and sat outside so he wouldn't have to pretend not to mind sitting alone inside. Hours passed. His stomach grumbled. But the idea of going back to that quiet house was worse than hunger. Across the street, a teenage boy emerged from the convenience store, tearing into a bag of chips with one hand and clutching a large bottle of soda with the other. He wore a hoodie, 2 sizes too big, and sneakers that had seen better days. His earbuds were in, and his head bobbed to music no one else could hear. Walter watched him without meaning to. The boy noticed. Their eyes met just for a second. The teen slowed, hesitating on the sidewalk. Walter looked away, suddenly embarrassed, but the boy didn't keep walking. He crossed the street. "Hey man, you all right?" he asked, pulling one earbud out. Walter looked up, startled. "Me? Yeah? You look like, I don't know, like maybe you need something." Walter smiled faintly. "Just waiting, that's all." "For what?" Walter hesitated. "Not sure anymore." The boy blinked. "You eat today?" "No, but I'm fine, really." The boy looked down at his chips, then up again. "My grandma always makes too much. We live just a few blocks down. You want to come?" Walter blinked. I don't want to impose. You won't. Trust me. She'll be thrilled. She feeds everybody. Why would a stranger care when even family had stopped checking in? The boy grinned and stuck out his hand. I'm Tyrese, but you can call me Ty. Walter. Well, Walter, you're officially coming with me. And just like that, the old man stood, slowly, stiffly, and followed a teenager he'd never met down a street lined with pumpkins on porches and American flags rustling in the cold wind. The house was small, paint peeling. A wreath made of pine cones hung crooked on the door. Inside, warmth hit Walter like a wave heat, yes, but also noise, smells, life. The kitchen was chaos. Laughter, pots clanging, someone shouting about yams. Grandma, we got company, Ty called. A round woman in a flowered apron appeared. She stopped, took Walter in with one glance, then wiped her hands on her apron and said, Well, come on in, honey. Don't stand in the cold. Walter smiled, unsure. I hope I'm not intruding. She waved him off. Your family today. You ever feel like kindness finds you when you need it the most? The meal was loud. Jokes and second helpings. Children running around. Walter didn't say much, but he smiled more than he had in years. At one point, Ty leaned over and asked, You got grandkids? I do, Walter said quietly. 2, but they don't know me very well. That sucks, man. You seem cool. Walter chuckled. Thanks. Later, when pie was being served, Ty's grandma placed a slice in front of Walter with a gentle pat on his shoulder. Everyone needs a seat at the table, she said. Could this moment, this one, act rewrite everything they believed about life and loss? The night grew cold again, but Walter didn't mind the walk home. Ty walked with him, hands in his hoodie pocket. You should come next year too, Ty said, and the year after that, like a tradition or something. Walter nodded slowly. I'd like that. They stopped outside Walter's small house. You sure you'll be all right? Ty asked. Walter smiled. I'm more than all right. I'm grateful. And for the first time in years, Walter stepped inside his home and felt it wasn't quite so empty. What if your smallest kindness became someone else's reason to keep going? Has kindness ever changed your life? Tell us in the comments. Your story might inspire our next video. Subscribe to The Kind Story for weekly real-life inspiration and explore our playlist of emotional kindness stories. This story is a work of fiction or dramatized for entertainment purposes. This story is a 100% original creation written exclusively for The Kind Story YouTube channel. While it may be inspired by real human emotions and events, all characters, names, and situations are either entirely fictional or modified for storytelling. This content fully complies with YouTube's community guidelines and is intended to inspire, not mislead,